Do you want to take more interesting travel photos? Well, I do, and I hope that you do too. It's too easy to go somewhere and take average, boring photos of something you never do anything with. I've taken loads of these myself, so don't worry. And it's also so easy to take the same photo of something we have all seen 1,000 times. Let's not do any of that. No, let's not. No, there's so much more that we can do, and in this episode, I am going to tell you 11 things you can do to help you take better travel photos. And that was the answery bit. How utterly splendid. Hi, and a very warm welcome to episode 204 of the Photography Explained podcast. I'm your host, Rick, and in each episode, I will try to explain one photographic thing to you in plain English in less than 27 minutes-ish without the irrelevant details. Yes, really. I'm a professionally qualified photographer based in England with a lifetime of photographic experience, which I share with you in my splendid podcast. Hello, everybody. But wait, hang on, Rick. Are you saying I can't take all those photos of famous landmarks and landscapes? Yes, I was, sort of, but let me explain. I said, don't just take the photos everyone else has already got, didn't I? Don't just was the important bit. Why should we deprive ourselves of the headline shots just because everybody else got there first? We shouldn't, should we? So it's fine to do that, of course it is. But after we've done that, there is so much more that we can do. Now, the title of this as a search query normally gives you a list of 11 rules of composition, but not my list. Oh no, of course not. There is so much more to do than the taking the photos bit, and this is a recurring theme throughout my podcast episodes. Taking the photos is one bit, but what I keep banging on about is the bit before you take the photo. That's where the photo's created, really. Yes, we all have some work to do before we take a photo, dear listener. So let's get into these 11 things. First one, photograph interesting stuff. Sounds obvious, doesn't it? But it's an important point. And there is interesting stuff everywhere. You just need to find it. Travel photography does not have to be all about stunning beaches and blue skies or world-famous landmarks. Where you are is a potential travel location for anyone who is not where you are, after all. This depends, of course, on where you live and what's around you. Now, for me, I'm very fortunate to live in Dorset in England. It's a lovely place with travel photo opportunities all around me, which I really need to make better use of. So go somewhere interesting and take interesting photos. Find somewhere interesting where you are, or somewhere near you. There will be somewhere, you just need to look, and this is the starting point, finding something interesting. And if you photograph interesting things, guess what's going to happen? This will significantly improve your chances of getting more interesting photos. And I'll repeat myself, this doesn't just mean going to famous landmarks, far from it. Nope, wherever we find ourselves in this big old globe of ours, there's always something interesting somewhere nearby. Sometimes we have to look, think, and even do some work to find these places. Yes, dear listener. And if you think there's nowhere interesting near you, you're not thinking or trying enough, or you're in a really rubbish area, and if you are, sorry about that. So think about it, get out and photograph those interesting places. Okay, next point, find out what a place is all about. Travel photography for me, it's all about capturing a location, taking photos that show a place at its most interesting best. A successful travel photo makes someone want to know more about a place, or even better, makes someone want to be in that place. Now, what's interesting in a location will, of course, vary from place to place. And the only way to really get a feel for a place is to get out and explore. And we must keep on telling ourselves, where you are is a travel destination for other people, potentially. Yep, travel photography is not constrained to places abroad from where you are, because you are abroad from people in other countries, aren't you? Let's not forget that. Next point, you might have heard this one before. Walk, look and think before you take that photo. Yep, I talk about this a lot, I know I do. My photography superpowers are these. walking, thinking and looking. And of course, you can do this too. It costs you nothing other than your time and the wear of your shoes or other footwear of choice, whatever that might be. Rather than turning up somewhere, getting your camera out and snapping away, which is a reference to someone who used to ask me to take some snaps of buildings who will remain nameless, have a good old walk around and see what you can find. And when you think you found something interesting to photograph, keep walking, looking and thinking, but at the thing that you found, as when you move, things in a composition change, as does what the light's doing in a composition. This is very much a narrowing down process which ends up with something interesting to photograph with the best composition that you can find. Right, don't just photograph the obvious. Yes, I've touched on this before, haven't I? If you go into a landmark location, don't just photograph the landmark stuff. Now I'm going to give you a very specific example, and it's a building in a nice place. Now, let me remind you, I photograph buildings and nice places, as well as buildings in nice places. That should be my scrap line, really. And the building I'm talking about is the Leaning Tower of Pisa in Pisa, Italy, of course. Of course it's in Pisa, the clue's in the name after all. I've been to the Leaning Tower of Pisa. Real name? Wait for it. Tower of Pisa. Yes, that's its real name. And boy, does it lean. I was surprised by how much it leans. I was expecting it to lean a little bit, but it leans a lot more than I was expecting. It is quite a thing. It is an amazing sight, don't get me wrong. And we've all seen the photo. So, yep, take the photo that everybody else has taken. Take the photo that shows that remarkable lean. I said it before, I'll say it again. We mustn't deprive ourselves of such wonders just because they're popular. Popular isn't bad. Popular is popular. Things are popular for a reason. But once you've done this, do something different. Do what no one else is doing. One thing you can do with the Leaning Tower of Pisa, for example, you can photograph this tower from the angle where it's not leaning. It is a beautiful structure after all. It really is stunning. It's such an amazing structure. I haven't done that and I wish I had done this, so I need to get back there, don't I? But there's one other thing that you can do, which I did do. Rather than getting the headline shot and then moving straight on, look around and see what else is there, which in the case of the Tower of Pisa, to give it its proper name, is the utterly wonderful Battistero di San Giovanni. And there is also the spectacular Piazza del Duomo. Apologies for the pronunciation. I'm from the north of England, not Italy, so I'm never going to do an Italian place name justice, am I? No, you're not, Rick. Important side note there. It's important to know your limitations, and having an authentic Italian accent isn't one of mine, which is quite obvious, isn't it? Now, I spent more time at the Battistero di San Giovanni than at the Leaning Tower. And no, I'm not being smug here. I'm not looking down on all those people who took photos of the tower and all the various poses that people do with the tower in the background. No, that's all good stuff. This is people enjoying where they are. They're enjoying their surroundings and they're enjoying taking photos. We should never look down on people taking these same photos. There's nothing wrong with it. They are creating their own memories which are special to them. It's to be encouraged. Anyone who takes a photograph of anything, it's a good thing for me. But if you want your photos to stand out like I do, if you want to take the best photos that you can, if photography is your thing, if any of these apply, there is so much more that we can do, which is what I did. And there was just me at this architectural splendour and thousands of people around the tower. More on that later. Move on, Rick. Next point, point 5. Find different viewpoints. Yep, I've already mentioned this as well. Any scene can be viewed from more than one viewpoint. It is up to us as the photographer to find them. And I've told you how to do this. It's dead simple. Walking, looking, thinking. But to do this, you do need to give yourself time without pressure to get something. Time to look around and see what you can find. Now, if you can grant yourself that time, it's a wonderful thing. I understand we don't always have the time that we want. It's a busy life, isn't it? It's a busy world out there. But if you can give yourself some proper time to have a good old walk around, a good old look and a good think, you will get better photos. It's just a fact. And what do you do next when you found that viewpoint and composition that looks interesting? This might not be a surprise to you. Try to get one photo and one photo only. Yes, really, in brackets. Seamless transition, Rick. Seamless. Yes, my one photo rule, and here is the 12-word version of it. Take the time to take the best one photo of one thing. There you go, that's good, isn't it? If you want to know more, check out episode 152, how my one photo rule will help you take better photos, for much, much more on this. And also at episode 197, how to take fewer photos but better photos in 2025, open brackets with my one photo rule, close brackets. Yeah, my one photo rule, so good it's formed 2 episodes of my podcast. Well, why not, eh? I use this rule to remind myself what I'm all about and what I do and don't want. And what I don't want is to get home and have to sort through 200 photos of the same thing. Sorting photos is boring. I don't like doing it. In fact, I hate it. And there's nothing worse than sorting hundreds of similar photos. So, if I get home with one photo that is a contender for my portfolio, I'm a very happy chappy. And I say contender because I've said before I'm aiming to get a photo to go into a portfolio, but that's putting too much pressure on me. And my views of my portfolio photos, they can change from, I don't know, week to week, month to month. So if I can get a contender for my portfolio, job done, I'm happy. And trying to get a better photo than one that you've already got, it's a super effective way of approaching taking photos because it gives you a purpose and it takes away a load of variables, as does limiting yourself to taking one photo of one thing. Moving on. Don't be put off by rubbish weather. Rubbish weather can give you great photos. Well, I would say that, wouldn't I? I live in England. If I had to wait for lovely clear blue skies and wall-to-wall sunshine, I'd be taking photos about one day in every 20. Yes, we English people, we talk about the weather a lot. We complain about the weather a lot. It's something of an English tradition to talk about the weather. And at the start of every weekly email I send on a Friday, I've realised I start with a comment about the weather. And if you want to hear my thoughts on the weather every Friday, more on this later. Don't let this put you off. My email's quite good, even if I do say so myself. No, my take is this. Blue skies can get boring. Well, I imagine they would, because it must get a bit samey. And I love clouds. I'm a big cloud fan, and I love dramatic weather. So any bad weather, it's got the chance to go dramatic, especially in our more unpredictable than ever climate. Not a good thing, I have to say. So if the weather forecast is terrible, I don't let it put me off getting my camera out and going off somewhere, and neither should you, dear listener. But help me out here, please, dear listeners. If you live somewhere where the weather is always lovely, where you've always got blue skies and sunshine, please let me know. Is that boring or is it ace? I'd love to know. I'm in England, we ain't got a clue. Number 8, work out where and when the best light is. Where and when the best light is. Photography's drawing with light. So it makes sense to find out when and where the light is at its best, of course it does. And it's free. But it's the most important ingredient of every photo we take. The position of the sun. It varies during the day, of course it does. Well, it's easy to forget that here as we go through weeks of cloud and general dullness. But getting back to the sunshine, let's not just restrict ourselves to golden hour, sunrise and sunset, and the time before and after. Now, for every photo, there will be an optimal position for the sun, so we need to work this out, and there are apps that can help us with this. When we're looking at the light, we need to see what it's doing to a composition and work out when the light is best for that photo, whenever that might be. And we can only work this out by walking around, looking and thinking, and returning to places at different times, if you can, and at different seasons, if you can. And I know that's difficult if you're taking travel photos on holiday, because you can't always be on holiday. If only we could, if only we could. But if you can go back to a place, you'll get to know it and your photos will improve. And you'll enjoy yourself more. I love going back to places I've been before and getting a slightly better photo than one I've already got. Right then, well, I've covered 8 things and only now do I get onto the taking photos bit. Yes, really. I told you my list differed from many others, didn't I? So these 3 things are 3 approaches that you might like to take. Number 9, try a minimalist approach. Yes, really. It's always tempting when you're in a super interesting place to capture everything in one composition. Sure, you can do this to capture a place's scale and overall feel, but more often than not, the interesting stuff is in there somewhere. Single things can make simple compositions which can be very interesting, very powerful, and this is why the looking and thinking bit is so important. And going back to my 1 photo rule, that doesn't mean taking 1 photo of a location then moving on to another one, as in from one city to another, what have you. Far from it. What I mean is take 1 photo of one thing. Don't take 20 photos of the same thing from similar angles. And yes, I used to do that a lot. And yeah, sorting photos, bane of my life. Well, that's a bit dramatic, isn't it? Of course it's not, but it's dull and boring. It takes up so much time. Move on, Rick. Move on, you're waffling. 10. Choose a rule, all rules of composition, and work with it or them. I listed all the rules of composition I could find in episode 202, titled, What are the rules of composition and which do I use? Now, there were 43 rules I seem to remember. Choose 1 or 2 or 3, whatever, and use them. Please remember, the rules of composition, they're not really rules, they're well-established guidelines that can help us to get better compositions. And if you use these same rules consistently, your photos will develop their own look and their own style and their own feel. And knowing that you're using, say, 2 rules of composition, it can really help you to take photos because when you're composing a photo, you've got these guidelines to help you make that composition. This really works and I do this all the time. So check out episode 202 for all the rules and find the ones that work for you. And the rules that you use, they can vary depending on what the subject matter is. Take a photo of a beach, for example, and you're going to use some rules that you wouldn't use for a photo of a bohemian market at night, for instance, unless you want to. But work out which rules can help you for the variety of things you are taking photographs of. As for me, I use the rule of thirds as a starting point for my photos, and I use the rule to help me place things in a photo. It works for me. Not saying you have to do the same, but give it a whirl. See how it works for you. So I've talked about the rules of composition, but there's one more specific thing I want to mention, and it's specific to travel photography. Now, I did say my list wasn't obvious, and this isn't an obvious thing to finish with, but here it is. Fill the frame. I see so many travel photos where there's something lost in the middle of a photo. What was meant to be the point of interest is so small it's not contributing to the photo. You can barely see it. Now, if it's not clear what the subject matter of a photo is, we have a problem. We need to be clear about what we're photographing and what we're trying to say and show people. And one way of doing this is to fill the frame with the subject matter. So, do these things, let me know how you get on, dear listener. Number 12. Yeah, 12. It's the last one, don't worry. Edit, use and share the interesting photo and not the one that everyone else took in brackets. Yes, I'm back to that headline landmark photo that we've seen 1,000 times. Don't share that photo. Don't use that photo as part of your body of work. Everybody else has already done it, so it's not going to stand out unless you've got a better photo than everybody else, which is tough these days. No, why not try using the alternative photo, the photo that other people haven't got? It's going to make your photo stand out for sure. Dare to be different. And that's where I'm going to stop. I've given you things to think about, things that you can do. Yep, that was 12 things. I didn't want to change the title from 11 to 12, to be honest with you, so let's treat 12 as a bonus. Right, that is that little lot. Here are some things for you to do. Choose some rules and use them. Start with 1 or 2 only and get used to taking photos using these rules and see if this changes your photos. See if this changes how you approach taking photos and see if it changes how you view things, because I'm hoping that it will do. It's a very, very powerful thing to do. And also try and fill the frame. And when you've done all these things, let me know how you get on. It'd be great to hear if these things work for you like they have done for me. Moving on, what if I use a phone to take photos? You can do all this good stuff with the phone the same way you can with a camera. And that fill the frame thing, it applies here, doesn't it? Because with a phone, the default lens is a wide-angle lens, and it means you're starting off with stuff some way away. So making the conscious decision to fill the frame will improve many photos taken with a phone. Just doing that one thing by either zooming in or preferably walking closer to the subject matter and making it bigger in the composition will make your photo stand out from everybody else taking photos with a phone who isn't doing this. What do I do? I've already told you that, haven't I? These 11 things are what I do. And many times I need to do them better, I know that. And writing this and spring being here, I need to get out and do much more of what I like to talk about. There is one other thing I want to say here, going back to the Leaning Tower of Pisa experience. I took one photo of the Leaning View, and you know what? I haven't even edited it. I've not done anything with it. It's just sat there in my Lightroom catalogue. But the photograph of the wonderful Battistero di San Giovanni that has had multiple edits and been used for loads of different articles that I've written, and I've published it loads of times on my website. Because it's an amazing, stunning building. It's an amazing piece of architecture, and I absolutely love it. It's circular, which always impresses me. I'm a bit of a geek for buildings, I really am, so that's why I like photographing them. Makes sense, doesn't it? And the other thing about when I was taking the photos of the splendid Battistero di San Giovanni, there was nobody else there. Apart from one person sitting in the shade of a doorway. No one else. I had this amazing place all to myself. No people in the way of my photos. And the main event, the Leaning Tower, it was a 2-minute walk away that I could actually see from the grounds in front of this splendid building. Was absolutely rammed. Again, I need to emphasise, this is not snobbery. I love people taking photos, whatever it's of and however they're doing it. But I like to be a little bit different where I can. And another thing that I do is this: I don't research a place before I go there. I don't check photos of a place I'm going to. Why not? Well, I want to find my own things to photograph. I'm not there to photograph what everybody else has already photographed. And this builds on what I said earlier. And no, I'm not saying you have to do this, just that this is what I do. And for somebody out there, you'll be thinking, hey, that's a good idea. I'm going to do the same thing. One of the benefits of this is you're not going there knowing what the headline photos are, so you're not going to recreate them. The downside is you don't know what the headline photos are, so you got a chance of creating them. It's a bit of a risk, but it's one I'm prepared to take because I'm quite clear about what a headline photo is and what's a more interesting photo than the headline photo, so I'm fine with that. And that's what I do. Some thoughts from the last episode. Well, how did you get on with working out what 20mm, 50mm and 200mm look like with your eyes? Let me know, dear listeners. It'd be lovely to hear from you. Next episode, landscape photography. Same question, different subject. Yes, I'm going to give you some practical examples of getting the best compositions when we take landscape photos. Nice. And I know that was meant to be this episode, but I started writing the wrong episode, didn't I? So I thought, well, we'll just go with it and change the sequence. I'm sure no one's going to mind, are they? Okay, a quick plug for me and what I do. Well, why not, eh? If I can't plug myself on my own podcast, where can I? Now, you found this podcast, so why not check out the podcast website, photographyexplainedpodcast.com. And I've got another photography website, rickmcavoyphotography.com, where I write blog posts about my photographs of buildings and other good stuff. And on my courses page, you will find my course, How to Become a Real Estate Photographer. And finally, you can also find me on YouTube talking about my podcast and my blog. Type my name in and you'll find me soon enough. Okay, back to that weekly email from me. If you want a weekly email from me, not just about the weather, but also something photography related, hopefully, fill in the box on any of my websites, and every Friday you will get an email from me. How utterly splendid. And that is the end of the self-promotion. Back to you, dear listener. Do you have a question you'd like me to answer? Well, if you have, email me sales@rickmcavoyphotography.co.uk. Shorter email address. Not being progressed yet, maybe somebody can tell me how to do that. Or you can visit the podcast website or text me from the podcast feed. Yes, so many ways to get in touch. And it's always lovely to hear from you, dear listeners. Always lovely. Okay, this episode was brought to you by a coffee, because this is a morning recording unusually, and a small crunchy Lindt chocolate crunchy wafery type thing that was very nice, which I consumed before settling down in my homemade, no, not being paid to say Lindt. We bought them from the shop the other day and I found one and I ate it. I think my wife left it out for me this morning, which I consumed before I settled down in my homemade acoustically cushioned recording emporium. I've been Rick McAvoy. Thanks again for listening to my small but perfectly formed podcast, and for giving me 27-ish minutes of your valuable time. Now, I reckon this episode will be about, 23 to 25 minutes long, because somebody knocked at the door during the recording, so I had to go and sort that out, and then I had to do something else. And then I came back and I was still recording, so I'm not sure how much I'm going to be editing out, but we'll see, won't we? So about 23, 25 minutes long after I've edited out the mistakes and other bad stuff. Thanks for listening. Take care. Stay safe. Cheers from me, Rick.